should your 5 NBA League Pass teams be? Watch the video to find out. So you get 5 League Pass teams that you can watch in this NBA season. So I'm going to be sharing who I think you should be watching over any other team. I think you should be watching these 5 teams, but I will give my top 10 plus 2 honorable mentions. So let's get right into this. As for my honorable mentions, I'm going to have the Philadelphia 76ers because they could be such a good team, but I'm not sure how Joel Embiid will do in terms of his injuries. We really have to see. I'm not sure how, will J.J. Redick and Amir Johnson, those free agents, will they be able to perform? Will Ben Simmons be able to perform? Everyone's giving him so much hype. He could be the Rookie of the Year this season, but we have to see how that plays out. So it's a great team, but, is the process really over? We haven't found that out. They could end up tanking another season, that type of thing. So, and then the other team I'm going to have as my honorable mention is the New York Knicks. The reason, with all the drama surrounding New York, you may want to watch that drama. It's very entertaining in terms of watching the thing with Charles Oakley and Dolan, watching how that whole season for the Knicks played out, because I know that last season I wanted to be a part watching all of the drama in that New York Knicks franchise. So, but we're going to get straight into this. Number 10, we have the New York Nets. Now, this team went from being one of the worst teams that I want to see, one of the teams I would never want to use that league pass. You get 5 of them. I would never want to see the Brooklyn Nets. But they got deloading this season. They traded obviously they traded Brook Lopez for deloading basically, and they got Timothy Mozgov, but he won't play that much, I don't think, because I really want to see deloading carry a team. Really want to see how he handles that situation, and it's kind of the same hype as if Kyrie Irving went to the New York Knicks, that type of thing. How he can lead the team. I think really what's going to be exciting is seeing D'Angelo Russell trying to lead the Brooklyn Nets franchise. And then you also have Jared Allen. I think he's going to be an incredible rookie, incredible center for this Nets team, because we obviously see, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson came into that team as, maybe not so much known rookie as other rookies in the league. And going to that Brooklyn Nets team, you're given more opportunities because you're given more minutes to shine. So with Jared Allen coming, his only competition really is Timothy Mozgov, and if they're looking not to do that well in the season, they're going to bench Timothy Mozgov, and they're going to play their younger players more. They have Archie Goodwin, they have D'Angelo Russell, they have, they have Rondé Hollis-Jefferson even, and they also, you can't forget, they traded for DeMarre Carroll, so it'll be interesting to see how he tries to lead this Brooklyn Nets team with D'Angelo Russell, and I'm really so excited to see how Jared Allen performs. I expected him to go, 16, 15 in the draft, but he did drop. And a young team in the NBA is always exciting. It's the same thing with the 76ers, why people want to watch them. It's a young team. It's very exciting to see. And there's more young teams in my list. But in number 9, it's the Miami Heat. Now, this Miami Heat has gone through an incredible rebuild since LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh all left the team. Obviously, Chris Bosh due to blood clots. LeBron James just left the team to go to the Cavaliers. And Dwayne Wade obviously left the team because he wasn't getting enough money, so he decided to go to the Chicago Bulls. But since then, the Heat have got Goran Dragic. Just imagine if that Heat team a little bit ago had Goran Dragic. Just imagine how good they would have been. Because remember when we saw that team, they had Mario Chalmers as their point guard with a backup of Norris Cole. So with Dragic now, that's an incredible point guard, and that would have been so entertaining to see him play with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh at his best. So, Dragic at his best, playing with a big 3 in Miami. And then we have Whiteside. Hassan Whiteside is he's one of the best defensive players in the league. So everyone should want to see this guy play. And they have that young power forward in Bam Adebayo. It's going to be interesting. He had an incredible summer league, and no one can deny how good of a summer league he had. And I just, the one player I said before Bam went into the draft class that he reminded me of is Hassan Whiteside. And being drafted to that team, it will be interesting how they play as a front court. And then them playing with a great point guard in Goran Dragic. Them playing with a pretty good shooting guard. They have Dion Waiters as in that shooting guard position. And, they have Bam with a great summer league. So they're having just an incredible rebuild since, obviously, getting rid of their big three in Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. So with this incredible rebuild, we just have to see, how the Heat do. And that's why I think this is an incredible team to have a league pass for. And moving on to the number 8 team, we have the Denver Nuggets because of the fact that Paul Millsap has been added to this very offensive team. We saw now with Paul Millsap being added, they have probably, I'd say, the second best Twin Towers in the league, only behind DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, because of the fact they have Paul Millsap and they also have Nikola. They have Jokic, and so you have Paul Millsap, you have Jokic, Nikola Jokic, and it's going to be interesting to see. By the end of this season, they could be the best front court in the league. We could be saying that. So this team is a very good offensive team. You saw against the Warriors that incredible three-point shooting. I was watching that game, and that was incredible. I really wish Jamal Murray would have taken that final shot. He just waited the ball out for the last 10 seconds of the game. If he would have shot that, they could have had the record for most threes in a game of all time. But, one short of that, and they're just a really good offensive team, this Nuggets team. They have Juan Hernan-Gomez. I hope he gets traded because he's a great player, but he's going to have wasted talent because of the fact that now he's behind, Kenneth Faried. He's behind Paul Millsap, so he's not going to get that much playing time. Also, Kenneth Faried, look out for him to be a possible 6 Man of the Year candidate because he's going to obviously maybe not play with Wilson Chandler there. Maybe you play Kenneth Faried as your starting small forward, trying to move him there, the Manimal. But Paul Millsap and Jokic obviously get the start. You have 2 possible All-Stars on that team. So this team's really good, and I really think you guys should watch out for this team. And then moving on to number 7 is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this is going to be an exciting team. It's going to be interesting to see what they do throughout the season. It's going to be even interesting, maybe they try and attack Kyrie Irving, trade in Andrew Wiggins, which I think would be horrible for the Timberwolves. Or not for the Timberwolves, for the Cavaliers, because of the fact that they could have had Andrew Wiggins, but they ended up trading him for Kevin Love. So trading back for him wouldn't make that much sense because it's kind of just like, sorry, we messed up on the first trade, but we'll trade you even more assets and stuff to have him back. But it's going to be interesting to see how the T-Wolves do. It's a very exciting team. Point guard Jeff Teague, shooting guard Jimmy Butler with the backup of Jamal Crawford, and then small forward. You obviously have Wiggins, and then as your the front court you have Gorgie Deng, and obviously Karl Anthony Towns. So I wish Taj Gibson wouldn't have gotten into the trouble he got into. So if he wouldn't have gotten into that trouble, obviously this team would be even more exciting because you had that good front court. But now they're gonna have to play Gorgie Deng, probably starting. But it will be interesting to see, what they actually do with that power forward center combination. And so that's going to be a very exciting team. Exciting to see how those young players do with Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, how they pair up with a very good, not veteran yet, but getting into his prime in Jimmy Butler. So it'll be interesting to see how he does and how really this whole team does. How the coaching does, just how this whole team, how it works. Be interesting to see, what happens. But moving along, we're going to go to the 6th team that I would suggest watching, which is the Sacramento Kings. Now, this is an interesting one. This is probably a surprise. But, they have such great young players in De'Aaron Fox. But they also have Justin Jackson. Don't forget about Justin Jackson. Don't forget about Harry Giles. And don't forget about even Frank Mason, he won the Wooden Award, And even as a 34 pick, it's a solid pick. And high risk, high reward type players for you you could say all these players, especially, Giles and Mason, because Giles obviously has a possibility of injuring himself and having his career, ended. However, he was the number one player in the 2016 draft class. And then obviously with the injuries at Duke, he's not the player that he was suggested to be. But, with that injury in mind, maybe he could come back from that injury and be the best player out of this draft class. And then Fox has that incredible speed. Justin Jackson, obviously, was the winner in the finals of the NCAA championship, so he has experience with pressure situations. Frank Mason, as I said, won an award. So, and you also can't forget they have Skal Labissiere, they have Papagiannis, Cauley Stein, and Buddy Hield. So it'll be interesting to see how those players do, combining with the rookies. And they also have 3 veteran leaders that they just got in free agency to combine with this young team. And so it will be very interesting to see how George Hill, how Vince Carter, and Zach Randolph, how those 3 players do with this really young team. It will be interesting to see, how this whole team really does. Can they really combine? Can they really maybe make a push for the playoffs? I think it may take them more than one season, but you need to hop on this bandwagon now, that type of thing, because it's about to take off for the Sacramento Kings. It will be so interesting throughout this whole season to see how these young players learn from these older veterans. It's such an exciting time for the Sacramento Kings, and it was so smart. Many people didn't like the DeMarcus Cousins trade. So smart for them to trade DeMarcus Cousins because they got so much out of it in terms of they ended up getting Justin Jackson and Harry Giles from it, 2 high-risk, high-reward players. And them combining with De'Aaron Fox, and then in free agency they made 3 huge moves with those veteran leaders. It's so interesting to see how they actually perform for the Sacramento Kings team. So that is why I have them 6, and that's not why I have them some people, if they're listing these, they have them at 15th or whatever. I have them at 6 because I think they're going to be such an exciting team, and they have such great players on this team. I watched from the first game of the season that I was watching the Utah Jazz. I saw George Hill play, and immediately from that first game on, it's like he doesn't maybe put up 30 points a game, that type of crazy thing. He maybe doesn't put 15 assists like Russell Westbrook was doing, putting up those 10 assist numbers with the 10 rebounds and however many points. He's not that type of player. He's the type of player that has intangibles, the player that you don't see on the stats, but he really has that leadership. So we have to see how really that team does of the Kings. Moving on to number 5, though, we have the San Antonio Spurs. Located in Texas, we have Rudy Gay coming to this stacked team. Interesting to see where Rudy Gay plays. Jonathan Simmons leaves, Rudy Gay's in. Power forward, maybe? I don't know. But, Rudy Gay's coming to the stacked team. And Bryn Forbes, Dejounte Murray, it's going to be exciting how they play. Bryn Forbes, he was my, I believe, number 1 surprise standout. And so, coming into these top 5 teams, these are the top 5 teams that I think really that everyone should be watching. And, the Spurs, you always want to see how this team plays, really. How Popovich, he's such a great coach, and this is a great shout to have is your number 5 team. The 4th one, maybe a surprise, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. And maybe people don't agree with this, but I just think this team next year, it's going to be great. They have Giannis, the Greek Freak. They have Malcolm Brogdon. Both of those players are getting so much better by the season. And you have to add to that, Thon Maker is in that starting lineup. Look for him to have a breakout season. Obviously, he was playing as a backup behind Greg Monroe. But in the playoffs, he started shining because he was actually in the starting lineup instead of Greg Monroe. So it'll be interesting to see, Brogdon as your point guard. You have Giannis as your small forward. And then you have Thon Maker as your center. Look for them in 2-3 years to be a championship contender. How well they're playing now, and just using this team, how well they can play against, these top teams in the NBA. So look for them. I really would suggest to hop on this bandwagon now. Watch all their games. It's going to be an exciting season. They're for sure going to make the playoffs unless they have a really disappointing season where, coaches get fired. Obviously, Jason Kidd. And, maybe a player gets traded and it just all goes downhill. Brogdon doesn't have the same season. Von Maker doesn't have the same season. Giannis, I don't expect to drop off, but if Giannis doesn't have as well as this season, they're not going to go as far as they did last year. Moving on to our third team, and these top three teams, pretty obvious, but as our third team, we have the Boston Celtics. You have Isaiah Thomas, you have Gordon Hayward, you have Al Horford, and you have Marcus Morris as probably your four standout players. You could also add Jay Crowder to that. You have a good rookie in Jason Tatum. Interesting to see how Jaylen Brown would do. But they have the pieces, obviously, with Marcus Morris coming in, and you have Gordon Hayward coming in. Those are two new pieces to this puzzle they have, because they have this almost puzzle where, they don't have enough players to get past these top teams in the Cavaliers and the Warriors. But they have the pieces. But can Brad Stevens execute? He's one of the great coaches in this NBA, one of the greatest coaches currently in the NBA. So it'll be interesting to see, how Isaiah Thomas and how Gordon Hayward play together. This Celtics team was the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. It will be interesting to see how this team really plays in the NBA and really how this team plays in the playoffs. But you definitely want to watch this team during the season, as they could have an outstanding season. Possibly, I think they'll be a 60-win team, possibly even 64, 65 wins on the season, because obviously the East is pretty easy divisions, or easy conference, I should say. So it'll be easier getting in the East. If the Warriors were in the East, they could have had 76 wins in that season instead of 73-9. So then we move on to our number 2 team that you should watch in this NBA season. Will it be the Cavaliers? Will it be the Warriors? Will it be a surprise? It's not that much of a surprise. It is, in fact, the Cleveland Cavaliers. It really depends, though. They could even drop out of this lineup by the start of the season, depending on, is Kyrie Irving going to get traded or not. But LeBron's getting older. You need to watch him right now, because if you don't watch him right now while he's in the NBA, you're missing out on watching one of the greatest players ever to play basketball. Probably the best small forward we've ever seen in basketball, arguably with Larry Bird in there. But LeBron's getting older. Watch him now, especially to people that have never watched LeBron play. You need to watch him now. You need to cherish the moment of LeBron, because once he goes out of the league, we see this with Kobe. You're just missing out. If you never watched Kobe Bryant play, you're missing out now if you've never seen LeBron play. So I suggest watching, LeBron James, watching this Cavaliers team too, because this main player, LeBron James, is coming to his later stages of his career, but he's still performing, putting up numbers. So maybe this could be his last season where he performs, and then next season he starts dropping off, starting getting older, that type of thing. We really have to see just how he performs, how this one of the greatest players of all time. It's just going to be interesting to see how he plays. Please watch him. Please have this. This is an urgent team you need to have as one of the players you watch this season. Because again, if you don't watch LeBron James play now, you may never get to see LeBron James play. Obviously, we saw with the Heat how much he did. We're now seeing with the Cavaliers how much he's doing with this Cavaliers team. He is a fan, especially if you are a kid, especially if you have these league passes. Watch the Cavaliers, because the Cavaliers are one of those teams that you need to watch, or else you may never get the chance to watch LeBron James at his best. And finally, my first team that you need to watch. Will it be a surprise? I don't think it's much of a surprise. It is the Golden State Warriors, because they're the best team in the league. You always want to watch them. They're exciting. Just with the three-point shooting they have Steph Curry, they have KD, they have Draymond Green, they have Klay Thompson, and they even got a good bench this year, a good three-point shooting bench. They didn't have that good of a three-point shooting bench last year. They have Shaw Livingston, Patrick McCaw, Andre Iguodala, and they have even Kevin Looney, James Michael McAdoo, JaVale McGee, Zaza Pachulia, those types of guys. They don't have that good. None of them are really three-point shooters. But bringing in Omer Kasibi, bringing in Nick Young, makes that three-point shooting very nice for those bench players. And again, like LeBron James, with this whole Warriors team, if you don't watch them play now, you're never going to be able to watch them play at their best. So, and there's two teams in the NBA I want you to watch. It's the Cavaliers, but probably maybe even the Cavaliers over the Warriors. It's tough, but we're watching one of the greatest teams ever play, which is why that's why I put the number one team as the Warriors. Look at this team now before players like Kevin Durant, players like Stephen Curry, before they leave, before Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, when they ask for $35 million and the Warriors may not have the cap space, they leave to go to other teams. Now I've just missed out on watching the greatest team, in terms of statistically, in terms of their record, the greatest team to ever play basketball. You could say the Bulls, but because of the fact they won the championship too. I'd say the Bulls because they won the championship, but even if they are the second best team in the NBA, you need to watch them now before this team just breaks apart, kind of like that Bulls team. So, I don't know. It's whatever you want to watch. It's whatever you think is the best in terms of what you want to watch for NBA teams. You know, maybe take out one of these teams, and you can even watch. You can watch one of your. You could put your team in there, a team that you like to watch, your favorite team in there. But I suggest having the Warriors and the Cavaliers. From that, you can have really any other team. Maybe throw in the Spurs in there just because of the fact that Greg Popovich is getting on that older side, and you kind of want to watch, again, that coach before he does retire from the NBA. But it's really up to you. Please do watch the Warriors and the Cavaliers. They're going to have amazing seasons again. And really, wherever LeBron goes this season, he's most likely going to stay at the Cavaliers. But watch the Warriors, watch the Cavaliers. And from that, I'll be signing off. So make sure to like this video if you did like this video. If you do like the idea of me doing, top 10 videos type thing. If you didn't like this video, hit the dislike button. And in the comment section below, please tell me why you did not like this video. Check out my blog, 4foot9.wordpress.com. And let me know in the top right, the little eye thingy, what team are you going to watch? Are you going to watch, I'll use my top 5 teams. Are you going to watch the Spurs, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Cavaliers, or the Warriors? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and have an amazing day.